right, kids, is it too late now to say sorry? This is going to be another video about Ohio, and while Justin Bieber isn't from here, would you be surprised if he was? Today we're going to talk about the politicians who are currently pumping the blood into the heart of it all. And an apology can never be too early.
I'm so sorry on behalf of Ohio. I know it's hard to be proud of who we produced, but hey, that's just the way it goes.
Yeah, the Buckeye State has produced Vivek Ramaswamy. He'll get another video of his soon. Then there's Vance, Roger Ailes, who created Fox News, and Logan Paul. I'm aware of the fact that I named him along with political figures, but in this beautiful country of ours, I wouldn't be shocked if he ran for and won some election somewhere. We're just a few days past primaries, and we got our matchups for governor and U.S. senator, among other races, here in Ohio. I probably should have made this video last week. I'm going to focus on a few of the folks who remind me that Ohio can't be a real place. And since I know it and see it, I need you to remember that hell is real, can't forget about the Longaberger Basket Building, and we got a Bucky's now. Is that place MAGA? In what has to be the simulation of a gas station attendant. No disrespect. Misery loves company. Please visit Ohio.
This video brought to you in part by the Ohio Tourism Board. Does anyone want to come over? Hello? Anybody? Come on, we've got lots of fun stuff. We've got this thing, and we've got chili spaghetti.
Now, before I continue, to the both sides are bad types who will tell me that my bias is showing. Going back to 1992, Democrats haven't had what's called a trifecta in this state. That is, control of the governorship, the Senate, and the House at the same time. Meanwhile, Republicans have had a trifecta the last 15 years straight. So if there are any problems around here that the GOP candidates want to solve and want to blame someone else for, well, they can go and love themselves. I recall what Ohio was like in 2011, before we pretended to be a swing state that voted purple. I never bought it, but I still hold on to receipts.
In 2010, they were 5th in education. They've dropped to 26th. Infant mortality, they were 40th. Now they're 46th, bottom 5. Incarceration rate up almost 50%. Health value dropped 3 spots. Life expectancy actually went down. Obviously, they've dropped spots there. They are 8th most depressed in the nation. Top 10 for depression, yay.
That list went on for another 22 seconds. Anyways, Republicans know by now that they're not going to win in big cities such as Cincinnati, Cleveland, and Columbus, so they make us out to be liberal, crime-infested holes in comparison to rural areas with conservative values, which feature their voting bloc. And due to these wide open spaces being separated by a country mile, they get to walk around like their don't stink. So let's start with a small town. The former mayor of the village of Butler in Richland County submitted this handwritten resignation letter in February, citing that he was resigning not under stress, but under duress. Wesley Dingus, the 48-year-old whose name describes him pretty good, was arrested and charged with 2 counts of voyeurism, a misdemeanor. In January, Dingus was captured on video going through a high schooler who was living in his home's bedroom, picking up her previously worn underwear and smelling it while touching himself. It's disturbing to show you some of this clip because it involves a minor, even though they're not in it. But I will play this one of Dingus from last July allegedly hitting a man twice with his car.
The Fox 8 team obtained this security video that shows a wanted man being struck by a red vehicle last Friday evening in the village of Butler in Richland County.
They've run over him twice right here and trying to tell me that can be that way. So could you send a sheriff out here, please?
Any guesses as to which political party this man is in? With that said, let's move on to a little bit of a pop quiz.
Of all 535 members of Congress, who's taken the most money from associates of Jeffrey Epstein?
Did you get it right? And did you look up the source in that campaign ad paid for by the friends of Sherrod Brown? You should have.
John Husted. That's who. In fact, Husted's taken over $116,000 from one of Epstein's closest friends and co-conspirators.
U.S. Senator John Husted is up for re-election this year. In February, protesters gathered outside of Houston's Toledo and Columbus offices, demanding that he return more than $116,000 in campaign contributions they say he received from Les Wexner. And for more on Leslie, see the episode I made about him. That's who is being described as Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirator.
And last year took a maximum donation from him just weeks before voting to block the release of the Epstein files.
According to WTOL, organizers claim that John Husted previously said he would give Wexner's money back, but has so far returned only $18,000, which is roughly 17% of the total, while keeping the remaining $98K. Crazy how it didn't trickle down. A spokesperson for Husted said he directed the campaign to donate all available funds to a charity for survivors of human trafficking. But wait, Les Wexner has donated to Democrat Joyce Beatty for Congress, the representative of my district, in addition to other Republican campaigns and the National Republican Senatorial Committee, who has accused Houston's special election opponent, Democrat Sherrod Brown, who served in the Senate for 18 years, of receiving money from Epstein-connected elites. Wexner's wife, Abigail, donated to Sherrod Brown multiple times in the past. Again, this is not a real place.
But now we see that the highest-ranking leader of the Democrats in the House had a relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, was soliciting campaign funds from him. Seemingly, they had many members who had cozy relationships with him, asking him for advice, asking him for campaign donations. It seems like the Democrats have a real problem on their hand with the release of the Jeffrey Epstein files.
John Husted is also the former lieutenant governor and Ohio Secretary of State, our chief elections official. He served in that capacity in the 8 or so years before the 2020 election and the big lie. With him being MAGA, he kind of has to boast about running elections with little to no fraud in the midst of trying to justify why this country needs voter IDs in order to contend with the fraud that, for the most part, largely isn't happening.
And at the time when you were Secretary of State, you could use a utility bill or a bank statement or a government check as an acceptable form of ID at the polls on Election Day. So when you were Secretary of State, that's what was acceptable to vote. So why is that not acceptable now?
That's what the law was when I was Secretary of State.
Homie got his Senate seat after J.D. Vance became vice president. And Sherrod Brown is seeking a comeback after his 2024 loss to Republican Bernie Moreno.
Conservatives, or including myself, were beyond disgusted by some of her lyrics in her songs over the years. WAP, I won't say what that stands for, but that's Cardi B. Oh, that's how bad I am. That's Cardi B. Thank you, Sam. I stand corrected.
Sorry, I just needed you to subject to memory what Ohioan Roger Ailes gave the world. Here we go.
It's a big deal because what happens is there's a stereotype about what President Trump's supporters are all about. We're racist, right? We hate Hispanics, although he endorsed this Hispanic to be the first Hispanic elected statewide in Ohio.
Ah, yes. The man who said during a congressional hearing in 1993 that Native American casino owners don't look Indian to him, one, Donald J. Trump, knew that this man is Hispanic. Bernie Moreno, the fourth best Bernie after Sanders, Kosar, and Weekend At. Ahead of Madoff, though. Moreno's official campaign website says Bernie believes that Ohioans deserve better than what they've gotten from Washington, and he will fight to better their lives in the United States Senate. And if Bernie Moreno is for Ohioans, and by extension, for Americans, it makes me wonder who he's against. He talks about widespread financial fraud costing American taxpayers, recently claimed that every single person who pays income taxes in this country is getting robbed of $4,000, but he won't say who's currently robbing them. And yeah, he'll let it be known that Washington, D.C. often minimizes this problem, doesn't hold itself accountable, and isn't transparent in the use of federal funds. And you would think that he was talking about this guy in particular. I mean, I wouldn't, but still.
You said that what the American people want is the kindness and generosity of a nation. Is that correct? You said
Yes.
that? But they actually got stupidity and corruption. Isn't that more accurate?
They are not getting what they paid for.
They voted for kindness and generosity and got stupidity and corruption.
Trump who is both stupid and corrupt, has pardoned dozens of convicted fraudsters across his 2 terms. And this was not done yet, by the way. We're talking 70 or so people. And what is Bernie going to do? Call the president out? He was critical of Donald years ago, all but blamed him for J6, urged conservatives to accept the results of the 2020 election, and congratulated Joe Biden for winning. According to CNN, Bernie called Trump a fake Republican who stokes hatred and fear, and suggested that the former president's popularity is a result of ignorance in our society. Those tweets were deleted, and this history of his has vanished into thin air because he's as fake as this state is. Trump and MAGA are carrying this Hispanic dude around like, oh. This about face may be reminiscent to what J.D. Vance did. And Moreno follows a trend of Republicans somehow not knowing who was president in 2020 when, for example, this country was shut down due to COVID. Here in Ohio, the director of the State Department of Health, Dr. Amy Acton, was the target of protesters who were frustrated by the weeks of quarantine and are convinced that the state, one woman specifically, overreacted to the kind of threat COVID contained. And Bernie can't contain himself.
For example, in my home state of Ohio, we had a health director that recommended that we shut down schools. And those schools were shut down for 18 months.
I'm the elected official who ran for office. I'm the one who makes policy decisions. Members of my cabinet work hard, but I set the policy, said Governor Mike DeWine, a Republican. You can demonstrate against me. That's fair game. To bother the family of Dr. Acton, that's not fair game. It's not right. It's not necessary. The buck stops here. I'm the responsible person. That wasn't the first time that DeWine had contradicted fellow party members' claims that Acton was to blame for COVID-19 measures. Both DeWine and John Husted told NBC4 that DeWine had final say in all decisions and they were no one else's. And that includes the 2020 primary that was supposed to take place. In government, this happens all the time. Do you think a member of the president's cabinet would issue this kind of order without his approval? DeWine told her to issue the health order. The decision was his because Ohio is much more Republican at the state level than most Americans would think. And this won't stop campaign ads from making dismissive or misleading claims about Dr. Amy Acton. She's competing against Vivek Ramaswamy for governor as DeWine retires or quits or shrinks the kids. Ohio isn't real, and the people running this place are as fake as professional wrestling. No wonder why Moreno wants WrestleMania here.
What is it going to take to bring WrestleMania to Cleveland, Ohio? You had SummerSlam in Cleveland, 2024.
It was quite successful. We think for the city, we think for WWE, and we think for our wrestlers. If it wasn't enough that Logan Paul pressures me on bringing WrestleMania to Ohio on a weekly basis, now we feel the pressure from you, senators.
So Logan Paul has sway around here. And I'm assuming if he were to be a politician, he'd be socially liberal, fiscally conservative. Like that's a real thing. His running mate could be his brother, Jake, whom Trump already endorsed. No question about which party he would be in and how much, maybe I should use my words wisely with the precedent I've set, but how much support this dingus would get.
You gonna run for president? Maybe I will have if I think I can really benefit the country. It's a tough job. It's a very tough job.
You know that, right? Mm-hmm. Like you're president, half of the country hates you. If you're lucky, 25 to 30% of them.
And trying to actively you too at the same time.
trying to you, bro.
I will make Logan Paul president.
Dude,
he's a smart
10
guy.
Years?
He will run. YouTubers are going to have millions of dollars, millions of fans, and no skills when they're all 40.
It's true.
I will make him the president of the United States. He will not be that bad at it. He's disciplined. He's got a heart. I will be his Steve Bannon. I'm going to get involved in that.
Going back to U.S. Senator John Husted, he's only served in his current role for a little while, so I'm not going to cover his legislative record. However, I will judge him by the company he keeps. He's in the middle of a $60 million bribery scandal. Husted recently testified as a defense witness in a related criminal trial of 2 former energy executives. You should know that John Husted has never been charged with or accused of any wrongdoing in this matter. Furthermore, he has consistently denied that he played a role in all of this. Yet, His calendars indicate that he had meetings and phone calls with someone who is imprisoned for what revolved around a legislative approval of $1 billion bailout for Ohio's 2 nuclear power plants. So no, I don't think he'll do anything to get us out of what the previous 15 years of governance got us into. Now, excuse me, I have a return to make. I have a record of our transaction.
Maternal mortality, 36% higher than the national average and 58% higher than the national average was in 2010. Their unemployment is actually higher than the national average, and their labor force participation rate is even lower than the national average, so their real unemployment rate is even worse. And the couch guy is from there.
Look, Bernie Moreno, who isn't up for re-election for another few years, has settled over a dozen wage theft lawsuits in the past. Those settlements came after a jury ordered Moreno to pay over $400,000 to 2 former employees at his Massachusetts dealership for failing to pay overtime in accordance with state labor laws. Separately, the Associated Press reported that Moreno faced 3 lawsuits for gender, race, and age discrimination at 2 Ohio dealerships from 2015 to 2017, which he later settled as well. Also, this dude sent a letter to the Mentor School Board claiming he was revolted by the news that a 15-year-old student charged with serious offenses was being allowed back in school. He then shared this letter on social media where it quickly went viral. It was reposted by libs of TikTok and Donald Trump Jr. by the time Mentor Schools could issue a statement clarifying that the student had never returned to campus since his arrest. When confronted, Moreno's communications director claimed that he was simply asking questions and was glad to see that it's now being resolved. That letter and those tweets are still up. Bernie Moreno never apologized. I hope my bias is showing. I'm going to vote for Dr. Amy Acton and Sherrod Brown. Not because they're perfect. Shouldn't have to be. And when Moreno's number is called, I'm voting for his opponent. I mean, he did introduce a resolution banning senators from using prediction markets to get rich, and it passed unanimously. Good. Democrats overall got to do something about gerrymandered districts. The Voting Rights Act has been dismantled, and what are they going to do about it? If I had more sway and influence, they wouldn't even make it past primaries in this state. I will vote for their replacements in order for the establishment to be gas station attendants. No disrespect. We're going to be all right.